Hey guys, this will be a quick review video on the Leatherman Skeletool. It's in a completely different price range than the Leatherman P4 that I reviewed in another video. It's a lot lighter, not as easy to use, but it's also like half the cost. The weight difference between the Skeletool, which only weighs 5 ounces, and the P4 is 8.6 ounces, so almost half the weight. It's also a little bit smaller. It does have a unique asymmetrical form factor if you're into that kind of stuff. You can see that there's a curved end that might be designed to kind of fit a little bit more easily in the palm of your hand, but is not free pivoting like the Leatherman P4, where just gravity alone will open and close the tool. Easier to use one-handed, easier to open and close one-handed. This you definitely need to use both hands to open and close, because you're constantly fighting against all that friction and the springs that hold the tool open and closed. All of the tools down here on the table show all of the tool capacity, capability of the Skeletool. So quickly going through those, just basic, very simple needle nose pliers. They're not as narrow as a normal set of needle nose pliers would be over here on the right. Also, the tool itself is a little smaller than a pair of needle nose pliers. If you line up the pivot point between needle nose pliers and this tool, you can see that the Skeletool might not be long enough to reach into whatever you're trying to get at. The handles are similar length, so you can probably get a decent amount of torque and leverage on whatever you're trying to grab. Below that is a normal set of pliers. I don't really have anything on the table that correlates with that, but you can see just from the shape of the head of the pliers, you can grab onto cylindrically shaped objects a little bit more easily because of the teeth down in here. Below that are the wire cutters, or similar to what you'd find on a set of wire strippers. Down here at the bottom, there's little cutting blades. Same thing on the Skeletool. These are not replaceable, unlike the Leatherman P4. You can see the little screw over there on both ends. You can replace the blades on the P4 and stuff like that. Definitely not on the Skeletool. So not as durable, not as easily rebuildable. And it's kind of just like wear it out, or maybe have a chance of sharpening it once or twice, but then replace the tool if the cutting blades are worn out. Below that are the hard wire cutter blades. So down at the bottom you can maybe see this little notch right at the bottom, so that if you are cutting a little bit heavier gauge wire, it's less likely to be constantly trying to slip out of the cutting blades because the little notches hold it down in there. It's definitely not going to be able to cut as much as an actual set of wire cutters like this, but better than nothing. After that, we'll go on to the knife blade. It has the same exact composition of knife blade as the Leatherman P4, that 420 HC steel. So overall good, fairly entry-level steel. I'm not going to go way in depth on it again, so if you have questions on the 420 HC steel, you can obviously look it up, or I talked about it a little bit in the previous video. It is a drop point knife, similar to this, similar size as this folding knife here on the table. You can see that part of it is serrated and part of it is straight, so you can make arguments whether you like that or not, but it is harder to sharpen a serrated knife than it is to sharpen a straight blade. But at least you got, I guess, best of both worlds. If you like serrated, you got some serrations. If you don't like serrated, then you've got some straight blade. It's not nearly as complicated of a lock as what you find on the Leatherman P4. It's just the normal push lock. Push down this. Obviously you want to keep your fingers out of the way when you go to close it. So in that instance, maybe you could argue it's slightly less safe. There's still a lot of surface area, so you can still easily grab onto the knife with fingertips instead of fingernails, but you have to remember to move your finger out of the way once you disengage the lock before you close the knife all the way back down. Because the tool is asymmetrical, while it is convenient having more closely similar sized bits for the screwdriver, both the number 1 and number 2 Phillips bit, that are held in with this little lock, you can't get to these if the tool is closed. Even if the tool is all the way open, it's still kind of You can see with it closed, the carabiner's in the way, but the carabiner is also kind of in the way when you have the tool all the way open. If you're trying to use a screwdriver tip, the carabiner could be in the way depending on what you're trying to use it for. So most likely you're going to have the tool half open, half closed in order to have access to just the portion of the tool that you want. So like I said, there's 2 bits in one with the number 1 and number 2 Phillips bit there, and then in the storage portion of the other side you push this out and then you get access to the 3/4 or 3/16 and 1/4 inch flat head tips. Those go back there in the little storage component. And then the last tool, obviously that correlates like decently with a 4-in-1 screwdriver, just not nearly as easy to use, but also takes up a little bit less space than that does. And then the last thing is just the bottle opener. So in here in the carabiner end, it shows you even on here that that's designed to be used to pry open a lid for a bottle. You can also use it as the carabiner, hook it on little fabric loop or a little rope, belt buckle, or not belt buckle, but belt loop maybe. Also, there is a tool pocket clip over here on the side. The tool does not come with a nylon sheath like the P4 does, but it doesn't mean it won't fit in other nylon sheaths if you have one available. If you'd rather not have this tool just loose clipped onto one of the methods of clipping that it's designed with. So like I said, not a whole lot to talk about, only 7 tools on this compared to 21 on here. But for the price, I think it's really cool and it's definitely unique looking. Thanks for watching.